In the name of duty, courage, and truth, I will protect the citizens.
We are making progress. It is not by accident. It is by design.
Hyper unit is mission go. Prepare for deployment. Mission start in 3, 2, 1. Commencing orbital strike. Give them hell, Hyper.
Hi everyone, it's 314 Reactor, and today we're looking at a game called Metal Eden, which was released a couple of weeks ago. It seems to be a combination of Doom and Titanfall 2, so I wanted to check out the gameplay to see how it matches those up, as well as how it runs on my RTX 3060 laptop. So we're just about to look at the graphical settings here. As you can see, they're mostly on high. I've also turned on lumen and high quality lighting and locked the FPS to 60 with VSync on, so we're just going to see how it runs throughout this playthrough of the first level. So as you can see, the graphics are really nice. It's Unreal Engine 5, but I've read there's quite a few stutters that people have encountered, and I've seen a few of them myself. Even on a 4.5-year-old laptop, I wouldn't expect some of these stutters, so I think there may be some optimizations that need to be done. I still don't have my new PC with the 4090 in it because I need to get it moved over from the UK. So at the moment I am still on my old laptop, but it does give us an opportunity to just see how optimized this is. This area we see here, a robot very much influenced by Titanfall, and this arena itself looks very much like Titanfall 2 aesthetic meets Doom 2016. And this is where we start to see one of the worries I have about the gameplay of this game. Is that some of the arenas can get a bit too samey and possibly can go on for a bit too long, and it suffers the Doom 2016 thing of kind of getting locked in a room and having to defeat everything in there before you can move on. This pistol is pretty good though. The one you just saw there, that you pick up in the first level, and it has a good punch to it, kind of like the pistol in Halo. You can see there some of the gameplay mix up there. We have to grab a core from an enemy and use it to charge up your punch to punch the armor off. This gun has infinite ammo, but needs a cooldown. And here we see the upgrades for the character, so you can get the ability to pick up more health and ammo, or you can consume the enemy's health, or cause extra explosions when you rip out cores and get your armor back and stuff like that. I choose to go for the Frozen Wave, which is where if your armor drops below 0, you send out a freezing shockwave, which is kind of helpful, very much like Doom Eternal, where you can freeze enemies and stuff. And then there's weapon upgrades as well. We have to do certain little tasks to get upgrades to your guns. No upgrades are available here, but I do get a couple of upgrades later on in this playthrough. So again, there's a lot of possible depth here. And here we see the wall running, obviously taken from Titanfall. You can't do it on every wall, which is a bit disappointing. You can only do it on those specific walls. And it does turn into a bit of the negative side of Doom Eternal with some of the platforming in this. It can be a bit tricky, and it can just be a little bit frustrating. Just to note, I am at this point in the playthrough playing on easy, but I do turn the difficulty up to hard later. Here you can see a nice chain gun here, so it's pretty cool weapon design. This reminds me of the minigun from Unreal Tournament 3. And I think even the shard gun from the original Unreal. And here we can see where the frame rate really starts to dip. So it's gone down to 40 FPS. We're pretty much on 60 FPS locked before this. And now we've gone down to 43. I turn it back down to screen space to see if lumen's causing it. But no. So I just turned lumen back on. I thought that lumen may be causing the extra CPU usage. So you can see the CPU usage is up to like 70, 80%. So I think it's possibly just all the AI and enemies on the screen here causing that. And you can see some of the amazing particle effects here as well. And here's one of the sort of sit and ride and wait it out moments where you get like a little bit of exposition. These can go on for quite a while, but they do mix them up later on in the game by adding enemies, but it pretty much is just press E and wait on these ones. So yeah, these areas, just for taking a little break, I think, and then you get dropped pretty much into a next action scene. And here we pick up what looks like a quad shotgun, which looks very much like the shotgun from Doom 2016, which again shows the influence of the game. This area about 52, 54 frames a second down to 48 there. So whenever there's enemies on screen, it seems it can really bring that frame rate down. Even though there's not too much graphically happening other than the blood particles and stuff. And as you can see, it's a very bloody game, which is quite awesome. Again, very much influenced by Doom, and even Titanfall had some jibbing in it as well. But this shotgun is really satisfying. I really enjoyed using it. And punching the armor off there, you can really see that Doom influence. There's also some cyberpunky sort of influence from it as well, with the sort of synthwavey music. The heating up of the suppressor on this gun here is really, really cool, and kind of reminds me of Tarkov. And it's just a way to give this infinite non-reloading gun a bit of a limitation. Here we see some grappling. Again, another Titanfall sort of inspiration there. And see, this area is running at pretty much 59, 60 FPS. Even though it's more open and still has a lot of enemies in it. But the previous area, with only a couple of enemies in it, the frame rate was dipping more. See, I don't know. Here we get another upgrade. So decide to go for an extra explosion when we rip a core out from an enemy. Here I was trying to see if there's nanite implemented with some of those details, to see how fine-grained the geometric detail gets when you get up close to it. Because of course this is UE5. We definitely know there's some form of lumen in it, even though a lot of the reflections you may notice disappear when they go off screen. Because a lot are screen space, even with lumen on. I think that's because there's a limited implementation of lumen here. And there's nanite as well. I was trying to look at some of the polygon curves on some of these objects here. They look pretty detailed, not too many obvious polygon curves, so I think there is possibly some implementation of nanite. I couldn't find much information about it. So I think lumen is definitely implemented, but in a limited way, and I think nanite is also implemented as well. Which is good, because if you're going to have UE5, you may as well implement those things and get that extra detail. So at this point I was enjoying the game throughout this part of the level. This bit was a little bit frustrating because you have to like flick over to these other little things to ride on. And it can get a little bit repetitive. Here is where I notched the difficulty up from easy to hard. And I wanted to see how notching it up from easy to hard changes the gameplay, because I just wanted to get a feel for it before I notched up the difficulty. And yeah, it definitely made these arenas quite a bit more interesting. I died quite a few times on this one, as I'm still getting used to the game. But I think hard is probably the difficulty approach to this game from, because it encourages you to move and zip around, because you can double jump and dodge and wall run in certain areas, and you need to keep moving to survive. And if you're playing on easy, then yeah, it's just going to be quite boring, because you're just going to be able to just run around everyone quite easily. Let's see here, there I got too close to the enemy and didn't dodge quick enough and got taken out. So it encourages you to keep moving and moving and moving, just like Doom Eternal on Nightmare. And the game over screen there, very much like the Cyberpunk game over screen. So again, another clear influence. And sometimes it feels a little bit like Halo as well. It's kind of got that Halo Guardians sort of vibe. Oh, those explosions are great. And the particle effects are just absolutely amazing. You can even see like little glowing bullet holes in walls and stuff. So it's got a good aesthetic, and despite being Unreal Engine 5, there's options to switch off mouse smoothing and stuff like that. So you can turn up the FOV, get your mouse smoothing off, and have the mouse feeling really, really responsive. I find some Unreal Engine games just don't have that, and they always have mouse smoothing on. Here we can look at some of the upgrades, and we can also look at some of the weapons. Again, very, very Doom here. So you can pretty much reduce the amount of time that it takes to cool this gun down, as well as reduce the amount of time it actually takes to get hotter as well. So you can fire it longer. These weapons look great. So good. It really is just mashing up Doom and Titanfall. And you can see with this upgrade we've put on the gun here, it's got like a little extra bit on the barrel, so the guns actually change their look as you upgrade them, which is, again, awesome. So this is one of the final areas that we're in, and again, it's locked in a very small arena, but cranking up the difficulty to hard meant that it was quite a challenge. I died a few times here, but it was a lot of fun because it forces you to keep moving, and you have to stick in these little areas to charge this sort of thing up to get the lift to come down. So that means you have very limited maneuverability in those little areas, and it never became too frustrating on hard difficulty. It just kept you on your toes. Some games, when you crank them up to hard, can become extremely frustrating, especially in small areas like this, but this stayed pretty fun. And again, it just looks amazing. It's just a shame about the screen space reflections. I don't know why Lumen isn't handling those. So I don't know why we're not getting off-screen reflections. Could be a limitation of my 3060. The other thing to note is that if you had a card with frame gen, but you're still getting these stutters, even with the frame gen on, you would still be feeling, you know, the underlying stutters, and you'd be getting lag with that frame gen. So I think there's still some more optimization needed to be done in this game. But it's only been out for a couple of weeks. There was a demo that was released back in April, and I played that, and it had similar performance. So it could just be my old hardware, to be fair. But it still ran pretty smooth. It wasn't like it was unplayable. And this area, they do the Doom Eternal thing and throw 3 big robots at you that you've only taken on 1 or 2 of in the past. But it also gives you this overdrive, which allows you to just smash their armor completely off. So it's not quite as technical as Doom Eternal, where you really need to know what you're doing with the weapons and the enemies and stuff. But it's still quite a challenge. Look at those particle effects, those are awesome. The graphics looks really cool here. It's just a bit grainy in some of the reflections, and yeah, the screen space reflections are pretty limited. And that is the end of the first level, and that ends my first impressions. It seems pretty fun to play just from that first level. It does seem like it's got that exact mashup of Doom and Titanfall 2, which is great, because those are 2 games that at the time just needed a lot more attention. Doom 2016 and Titanfall 2, they just didn't get enough attention when they were released, so it's good to see a good combination of them here. And it seems like a pretty fun game. The upgrades, the enemies will get more varied, stuff like that. And even this main menu reminds me of Titanfall 2. So I've really enjoyed it so far, and I'm going to play it a little bit more, and depending how many views this video gets, I may do a further video on it. But yeah, leave a comment, let me know what you think, leave a like, subscribe, hit the little bell, really helps the channel. There's a new video every week on video games and technology. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.